Hey guys, I'm Jonathan. I am a family therapist, and I'm going to show you something that will help you when your kids are going through something difficult. And I'm going to tell you a story while I show this to you. See, there was this kid that I worked with. He had social anxiety. So anything new, anything that involved groups, anything that involved a lot of people, and even if it was with his peers, it freaked him out. He was anxious, he was nervous, he did not want to do it. So he did what all of us want to do when we're confronted with something difficult. He avoided it, which meant he basically stayed home all the time and pretty much in his room, and he never wanted to go out. He didn't even like going to school, is how much he had trouble with this. He stayed in what I call the safe zone, the comfortable zone. Let me show that to you. Right here, okay? This zone right here is comfortable. There's no fear. It's way too easy. And the problem with this zone is there is no growth that happens in this zone. Now, there were other problems that were happening on top of this. One is that this kid was having a lot of conflict with his parents. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. They didn't want him at the home all the time. They knew he needed to learn how to socialize, so they were pushing him to socialize. They were pushing him to do stuff, and what happened was he didn't want to do it. So he would argue, he'd yell, he'd scream, he'd cry, and the parents couldn't take it anymore. So they said, fine, you don't have to go. They let him stay in the safe zone. They enabled him to not move forward. And it makes sense. I mean, it was tough for him, but it didn't help the kid out. Until one day, when this father decided he had had enough, because his son had been invited to a birthday party. And he said, you were going to that birthday party. The problem was, this birthday party was all the way across town. He only knew of one person that was going to be there. Everyone else was going to be new. It was an activity that he had never done before in a building, a location he had never been before. So he was completely refusing. Father didn't want any of it, loaded the kid up in the car, took him to the party, dropped him off, said, now you go in there and you have fun. So what this father did was he went to the other extreme. He went into another no growth zone. And that's what this is right here. This zone right here, okay? It was paralyzing. It was even traumatizing. This kid told me that he spent the entire party in the bathroom or in the corner texting his parents, please pick me up, please pick me up, please pick me up. It was so traumatizing that he determined he was never going to socialize again. He was done. So it had the opposite effect. So if it's too hard, if it's more than your child can bear, or they're not equipped for it, it creates the same problem as over here. They're not going to grow, they're not going to learn, and it gets worse. It gets worse in both situations. Okay? So what these parents needed to do was to find a way to help their son deal with his social anxiety that was not overwhelming, and they were not enabling him to move too slowly or not at all. And that's what this zone is. This is the uncomfortable zone, but it's a growth zone. This is where you push your child to try something new, but you equip them and you prepare them. Because if they're not being pushed, if they're not uncomfortable, then they're not going to grow. If it's too easy, no fear, no anxiety, no difficulty, you're not learning. So you need to push them, but you've got to find a way to do that. So what I told these parents to do is the same thing that I'm telling you to do. And what we used with them was a scale, 1 to 10. Okay, 1 is absolutely no discomfort, no fear, no problem, and a 10 is so extreme, the worst you could ever imagine. You try to get them there in the middle. So like with this kid, they sat down and they talked to him and they said, okay, we have to help you work on this social anxiety. You have to learn how to put yourself out there, how to participate. You have to know that to be able to succeed in life. So let's figure out some goals. Let's figure out some small steps that are going to push you but are manageable. You can do this. So they said, what about if you stayed after school and you talked to some of your friends before you came home? He's like, oh no, that would be like an 8. I could not do that. They're like, okay. What if you were to stay home and text some of your friends a little bit more? He's like, that'd be like a 2 or a 3. Okay, well that's too easy. What if we had some of your friends come visit you at home? He's like, that'd kind of be like a 5. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay? It's going to push you, but it's not going to be too much. And the cool thing about this is it moves, okay? So it's like this. The things that were uncomfortable, if you practice them enough, they will eventually become easy. And the things that were too hard and paralyzing, they eventually become uncomfortable. And this whole thing starts to move and they get better and better. And I'm telling you, this applies to just about anything. Is your kid having a hard time trying new foods? If you let them eat mac and cheese and hot dogs every night, they're never going to grow. They're never going to try new stuff. If you bring home sushi and fish eggs, you're going to traumatize them. They're like, no way, I'm never going to eat anything you bring here again. But maybe you try a little bit of hamburger helper with veggies covered in cheese. You know, you figure out what you can do. Yes, your kids will resist you. Yes, they'll push back because they want to stay in the safe zone. They want to stay in the comfortable zone. But you know that they need to learn. Okay? And you can do this. You push them, it'll work. I promise you, it really works. Okay? Our job as parents are to provide and protect for our children, to show them love, and then to build the skills in them that they need to be prepared for life. That's why I'm making these videos. I'm making them about all three of those things to help you guys out. Okay? So subscribe, like, follow. I'm going to keep making videos. Hope that helped. You guys take care.